Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Have you ever looked at a massive, comprehensive grammar syllabus and just thought, okay, how on earth do I teach all of this to a young child without completely overwhelming them? Well, today, we're going to transform a 15-point grammar syllabus into an incredibly engaging, simple, and step-by-step roadmap for teaching young learners. Think of it less like reading from a dusty textbook and way more like a construction site where we actually get to build language from the ground up. Our build is organized into 5 logical stages. First, foundations. Second, naming things. Third, action and description. Fourth, connecting and questioning. And finally, stage 5, writing and expanding. Let's dive in. So this complete 15-point grammar syllabus is basically our master blueprint for today. From the absolute basics of a sentence all the way down to sentence expansion at point 15, this list literally contains everything a young learner needs to communicate effectively. Now, I know it might look like a lot at first glance, but as we break it down, you're going to see just how beautifully and logically one single concept flows right into the next. All right, stage 1, sentence foundations and rules. Before we can even think about decorating our house, we really need to know what a sentence actually is and what rules hold it together. So the absolute most crucial point here is teaching the difference between a complete thought and a fragment. Take a look at this comparison. I like apples has a clear subject and an action, right? It tells us the whole story. But if we just say, like apples, we're left wondering, well, who? Who likes apples? A sentence absolutely must be a complete idea. Otherwise, the foundation simply cracks. Once they understand what a sentence actually is, we introduce the mechanics. These are the very first bricks in our foundation. A sentence always starts with a capital letter. We leave one finger gap between words, which, by the way, is just a fantastic physical cue for young kids so their words don't crash into each other. The pronoun I is always a capital letter no matter where it hides in the sentence, and names also get that special capital letter treatment. Moving right along to stage 2, naming things and people. Now that we've got our foundation poured, it's time to introduce the cast of characters that are going to live inside our sentences. We call these characters nouns. A noun is simply a naming word. It essentially categorizes the child's entire physical world into 4 neat little boxes. People, like a boy or a teacher. Places, like a school or a park. Animals, like a cat or a cow. And things, like a ball or a book. Literally everything they can touch or see gets a name. Now, what's really interesting here is how we handle quantity. Once we know the name of a thing, we kind of need to know how many of them there are, right? The rule here is wonderfully simple for beginners. To go from one to many, we usually just add an S or an ES. One apple magically becomes many apples. One cat turns into many cats. We keep it strictly to these basics at this stage just to build confidence before introducing any of those tricky exceptions. But think about it. What if we get tired of saying someone's name over and over again? Enter pronouns. Pronouns act as handy little shortcuts. Instead of saying, Ria is my friend, Ria is kind, we can just swap out that second Ria for she. So it becomes, Ria is my friend, she is kind. It just makes language sound so much more natural and way less repetitive. All right, stage 3, action and description words. So we have our rules and we have our characters. Now it's time to bring them to life. Verbs are essentially the engine of a sentence. They're the action words that make our nouns actually do things. Run, jump, eat, play, sleep. These are all dynamic verbs. If you have a noun, like dog, it just kind of sits there until you give it a verb. But when you add sleeps, suddenly you have a complete picture. The dog sleeps. And this brilliantly illustrates how we pair verbs with adjectives or describing words to paint a much clearer picture. Adjectives tell us more about our noun. Is the bag big or small? Is the person happy or sad? Saying I have a bag is, well, it's fine, but saying I have a big bag immediately gives the listener a really vivid visual. Before we move to the next stage, we have a tiny but incredibly vital rule regarding the articles a and an. This is actually best taught both orally and visually. We use a before consonant sounds, like a cat. We use an before vowel sounds, like an apple. Saying them out loud really helps children naturally hear why a apple sounds a bit clunky and an apple sounds super smooth. Next up, stage 4, connecting and questioning. So far, we've just been looking at individual words and simple ideas. Now, we're going to explore how we actually position these things in the world, how we link ideas together, and how children can ask about the world around them. First up are prepositions, which tell us the physical position of something. Is the cat in the box? Are the books on the table? Is the boy under the desk, behind the bush, or in front of the tree? These simple directional words allow learners to explain exactly where their nouns are hanging out. Next, we give children the absolute greatest tools for discovery, the WH questions. These 5 words unlock totally different types of information. What is for things and actions, which helps us choose between options, like an apple or banana. Where asks about a place, when asks about time, and who asks about a person. These are absolutely essential for building curiosity. Of course, if we're asking questions, we need the right punctuation, right? We know basic sentences end with a full stop, also known as a period. But if we use one of our WH words, we're going to need a question mark at the end. And if we want to show strong feeling or excitement, like saying, wow, we use an exclamation mark. That little mark at the end literally changes the entire tone of the sentence. And to really tie our thoughts together, we use conjunctions. At this beginner level, we focus heavily on the word and. It acts just like superglue for our ideas. Instead of saying 2 choppy sentences like, I like apples, I like bananas, we can use and to join them into one smooth, connected thought. I like apples and bananas. And finally, stage 5, writing and expanding sentences. We've made it. We have all our materials, our rules, our action words, and our glue. Let's see how all these materials build into an incredibly simple, completely foolproof 2-step formula for writing a sentence. Step 1, pick a who. This is your noun, a person, animal, or thing. Step 2, add does what. This is your action word, your verb. Who plus does what. That is the secret recipe. Let's look at some perfect examples of this formula in action. The dog runs. The girl jumps. A cat sleeps. The boy eats. By simply combining a noun from stage 2 with a verb from stage 3, our young learners are already writing fully functional, grammatically correct sentences all on their own. It's kind of amazing to see. But, we don't want to stop at just basic sentences. Sentence expansion means taking what we just built and adding extra words to tell us more. We can sprinkle in an adjective to describe the noun, the big dog runs. Or, and this is where it gets super dynamic, we can introduce an adverb to describe the action itself. Like, the dog runs fast. That adverb, fast, gives us crucial detail about exactly how the verb is happening. Look at how easily these simple sentences grow. The cat sleeps expands with an adjective into the small cat sleeps. Or, expanding on the verb with an object, she eats grows into she eats an apple. Whether it's a describing word, an object, or a fantastic adverb like we just talked about, adding just one element at a time helps children flesh out their thoughts without getting confused or overwhelmed. And there you have it. By following this clear, step-by-step roadmap, we've taken a pretty daunting 15-point syllabus and turned it into a highly accessible toolkit. We've built our house from the foundation all the way to a fully painted, decorated sentence. So I'll leave you with this thought. What amazing, vivid stories will your young learners build now that they hold all the grammar blocks in their own hands? The possibilities are literally endless. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy teaching.